How does a 5-year-old child vanish, and no one notices for more than 2 years? This isn't a missing person story. It's a story of silence, of failure, of a little girl who was surrounded by red flags and yet nothing was done. By the time someone finally asked, "Where's Harmony?" it was already far too late. This is the horrifying case of Harmony Montgomery, a child whose name should never have been forgotten, a child who was let down by everyone. But this isn't just about one evil man. It's about a system so broken, so careless, that a little girl's cries were swallowed whole. Let's go back to the beginning. Harmony Montgomery was born in June 2014 to Crystal Sorey and Adam Montgomery. From the moment she entered the world, Harmony's life was filled with instability. Her parents had a history of substance abuse, violence, and brushes with the law. Crystal, despite her own struggles, wanted to be there for her daughter. But Adam Montgomery, her father, was a different story. His rap sheet was long, his temper explosive. He had already served time for violent offenses. And while the two were never model parents, Crystal wasn't quiet about her concerns. She feared for her daughter's safety, and she made that fear known. Still, Harmony was bounced around the system, placed in and out of state custody, at times with relatives. At one point, she lived with her mother, but in 2019, everything changed. In early 2019, the court awarded full custody of Harmony to her father, Adam Montgomery. On paper, it made no sense. Crystal was devastated. She pleaded with the court, warning them that Adam was dangerous and violent, but those pleas were ignored. Despite multiple reports of Adam's unstable behavior, his criminal background, and Crystal's protests, Harmony was placed in his care. From that moment on, Harmony's life became invisible. Crystal tried everything. She kept reaching out, asking for updates, but every time she got conflicting stories. Sometimes she was told Harmony was fine. Other times that she was with someone else, but no one gave a straight answer. And child protection agencies, they didn't follow up. No welfare checks, no questions, just silence. And then she was gone. The last time anyone outside Adam's household saw Harmony alive was sometime in October or November 2019. Let that sink in. A 5-year-old child went unseen, unaccounted for over 2 years. There were calls from family members, concerns, reports, but somehow no system, no agency, no adult followed through. Crystal, still fighting to contact her daughter, grew increasingly desperate. She was told that Harmony was okay, that she was living with her father, that she didn't want to talk, but those were lies, and no one was checking. It wasn't until late 2021 that Crystal, now sober, stable, and more determined than ever, marched into a police station and reported her daughter missing. Authorities opened the case and quickly realized Harmony hadn't been seen in over 2 years. When police began investigating Harmony's disappearance, what they uncovered shocked even hardened detectives. There were no school records after 2019, no medical checkups, no photos, no proof of life. Adam Montgomery had essentially erased his daughter's existence. Investigators began treating the case as a homicide almost immediately. The public was horrified. National media picked up the story. People were furious. How could a 5-year-old go missing and no one say a word? Searches were launched. Rivers, homes, backyards. Adam and his then-wife, Kayla Montgomery, were questioned. But the answers were either vague or disturbing. Still, there was no sign of Harmony. But the truth was about to come out. In 2022, After mounting evidence and witness testimony, Adam Montgomery was charged with second-degree murder. The key witness, his estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery, and what she revealed was beyond horrifying. According to Kayla, Adam beat Harmony to death in December 2019, just months after getting custody. The reason? Harmony had a bathroom accident in the car. Adam, in a fit of rage, punched his daughter repeatedly in the head until she stopped moving. But it didn't end there. Instead of calling for help or confessing, Adam allegedly hid the body. He moved it from location to location, hiding it in bags, containers, even a ceiling vent until finally disposing of it somewhere unknown. As of today, Harmony's remains have still not been found, and the man who took her life never once admitted guilt. In February 2024, Adam Montgomery stood trial. He refused to attend large portions of the proceedings. When he did show up, he showed no emotion. Prosecutors described a man with no remorse, no empathy, and no humanity. They painted a picture of a father who saw his child not as someone to protect, but as someone to control and punish. Adam Montgomery was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 56 years to life in prison. No possibility of parole for at least 56 years. By the time he's eligible for release, if ever, he'll be over 100 years old. But the sentence, for many, felt hollow, because the one thing that could never be undone was the silence. The years in which no one asked the one question that could have saved Harmony's life: where is she? The story of Harmony Montgomery isn't just about one violent man. It's about a system that repeatedly ignored the red flags. Massachusetts and New Hampshire Child Protective Services are now under national scrutiny. Multiple reports, multiple warnings, and not one single welfare check in over 2 years. How is that even possible? Internal investigations revealed a disturbing pattern of negligence, miscommunication, and passing the buck. Caseworkers failed to follow up. Files were closed without action. Judges made custody decisions without full information. And in the middle of it all was a little girl who slowly disappeared. Politicians have called for reforms, but even now, many fear that the system is still too broken, too slow, and too underfunded to stop the next tragedy. Because Harmony wasn't the only one. Harmony Montgomery was 5 years old. She loved to smile. She was legally blind in one eye and wore adorable glasses. She was a sister, a daughter, and a child who wanted to be loved. She did absolutely nothing wrong, but she was failed by her father, by the courts, by the system, and by a society that only asked questions after it was too late. We use words like filicide to describe what happened, but that's just a legal term. What happened to Harmony was evil, plain and simple. She didn't just vanish. She was erased by cruelty, by carelessness, and by silence. We must never forget her name, not just as a victim, but as a little girl who mattered. Rest in paradise, Harmony.